Have you ever looked up at the night sky and just, wondered, are we really alone? It's this huge question, isn't it? It's been around for, well, forever, sparking myths, science, endless guessing. So today, we're diving into a whole stack of sources, really digging into our planet's long, kind of weird relationship with UFOs, or UAPs, I guess we should say now, unidentified aerial phenomena, and what it might mean if, one day, we actually meet intelligent life from somewhere else.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating when you look at the sources is how our whole understanding, our framing of these things has shifted, from thinking they were like omens in ancient times right up to today's classified government programs. We'll get into the official investigations, those secret military bases everyone talks about, and yeah, even some of the more out there theories. The goal here is really to pull out the key insights so you can feel properly clued in on something that feels, well, pretty relevant right now.
Absolutely. Our mission today, cut through the hype, look at the facts as presented in the sources, and explore those really big questions about first contact. Like, what would we even ask? How would people react?
Okay, let's jump in. So maybe let's start with the history, ground ourselves a bit. When did people actually start reporting strange stuff in the sky? And how did we interpret it back then?
Well, it's fascinating because reports go back, millennia. You find hints in ancient art literature. Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans. Now, some early examples need context, like the Roman writer Julius Obsequens mentioned things moving in the sky, but he was writing like 400 years after they supposedly happened, so, take that with a grain of salt. Then you've got an 11th century Chinese scholar, Shen Kuo, describing a bright flying object, pretty interesting,
Yeah.
and those 16th century events over Nuremberg and Basel. Lots of traumatic woodcuts.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Right. Nowadays, scientists often point to things like sundogs, complex atmospheric optics, natural stuff. Okay, so sightings aren't new. But the modern UFO era, that really kicks off after World War II, doesn't it? Why then?
Yeah, that's a key period. You've got rocket technology booming, secret aircraft development, a lot happening, much of it hidden. Plus, during the war itself, pilots reported Foo Fighters.
Right, those strange lights following their planes.
Exactly, mysterious glowing orbs. And then in 46, ghost rockets over Scandinavia. People initially thought maybe Soviet tests captured German tech,
And then came the term that really stuck, flying saucer. That has a specific origin story, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Civilian pilot Kenneth Arnold, 1947, near Mount Rainier. He saw these objects and he described their movement famously like a saucer skipped across water. The media absolutely ran with that phrase, flying saucer. It just exploded. Within weeks, a Gallup poll showed like 90% of Americans had heard the term.
Wow.
Though interestingly, most didn't immediately jump to aliens. Not at first.
So public interest is through the roof. Governments, especially the U.S. military, they had to react, right? How did they start looking into all this?
Yeah.
They did. In the U.S., the Air Force set up a few official investigations. First was Project Sign, starting in 48. They looked at the reports, considered, maybe advanced Soviet planes, maybe something else. There are stories its final report leaned towards an extraterrestrial explanation, but was supposedly destroyed, classified stuff. Then came Project Grudge in 49, and the big one, Project Blue Book, ran from 52 all the way to 69, based at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They collected over 12,000 reports, a massive undertaking.
12,000 reports. Okay, so what did Blue Book actually conclude after all that?
Well, officially, when they shut it down in 69, the conclusions were pretty clear-cut, at least on paper. 1, no UFO was ever a threat to national security. 2, no evidence of tech beyond what science knew at the time. 3, no proof any sightings were actual extraterrestrial vehicles. They did say about 6% of cases remained unidentified, usually just due to lack of data.
Okay, that sounds pretty definitive. No threat, no aliens. Mostly explainable. But
Yes.
that didn't exactly stop people wondering, did it? The fascination just kept going.
Not at all. It barely made a dent in public speculation, really. And there were other studies, too, like the Robertson panel in 53. The CIA pushed for that one after some pretty dramatic radar and visual sightings over Washington, D.C.
Like if it too flat.
Exactly. That panel basically said, look, 90% is explainable, no threat, no ETs, standard stuff. But parts of their report stayed classified until 1979, which, just added fuel to the fire, cover up, people thought. Then there was the Condon report in 68, big university study, same conclusion. UFOs aren't worth studying further scientifically.
So report after report basically says nothing to see here.
Yeah.
But the public isn't convinced. What's happening today on the official front?
Well, yeah, the official Air Force stuff, like Blue Book, ended. But later documents, like this Bollinger memo from '69, sort of hinted that the really serious stuff, the national security incidents, were handled elsewhere, kept out of Blue Book's public system. And much more recently, things have shifted again. The U.S. government created new offices. There's AARO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And NASA has its own UAP independent study team. Notice the name change, too. UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, trying to move away from the whole flying saucer baggage.
Right, rebranding almost.
Sort of. And we've even had public congressional hearings on UAPs recently, 2022, 2023, whistleblowers making claims. It's ongoing.
You can't really talk about UFOs and government secrets without mentioning Area 51. What actually is this place?
Right, Area 51, it's a real place. A military test facility, super secret. It's out in the Nevada desert northwest of Vegas, part of the huge Nevada test and training range. The government didn't even officially admit it existed until 2013, even though it's been operating since 1955.
Wow, 2013.
Yep. And its location is perfect for secrecy remote, surrounded by mountains. Very hard to see what's going on, which of course just adds to the mystique.
So, okay, beyond the alien stuff for a second, what was its actual job historically? The sources point to some serious Cold War tech, right?
Absolutely. That's its real origin story. Cold War strategy. Area 51 was vital for developing and testing really advanced spy planes and stealth technology, stuff to get an edge over the Soviets. Key programs developed there include the U-2 spy plane, flew incredibly high, designed to be invisible to radar.
The U-2, famous from the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Exactly. Its intel was critical then. Then came the SR-71 Blackbird, even faster, successor to the U-2, one of the fastest planes ever built, Mach 3+. And the F-117 Nighthawk, the first real operational stealth fighter, developed and tested extensively at Area 51.
With all that top-secret aviation testing.
Yeah.
Weird shapes, high speeds, nighttime flights. It's maybe not surprising people saw strange things and jumped to conclusions.
Precisely. That intense secrecy, combined with genuinely unusual aircraft being tested, it created the perfect conditions for speculation. And then the Roswell incident from 1947, even though it happened miles away and years before Area 51 was even established, it got culturally tangled up with it.
Right. The story became that the Roswell wreckage, the supposed alien craft, was taken to Area 51.
Yeah, that became the dominant theory, that they were studying it there, trying to reverse engineer alien tech.
Which leads us directly to probably the most famous name linked to that idea, Bob Lazar. What was his story?
Bob Lazar. He came forward in 1989, made quite a splash. He claimed he'd worked at a secret site near Area 51 called S4, and his job, he said, was to help reverse engineer captured extraterrestrial spacecraft. He described these advanced propulsion systems, anti-gravity, powered, he claimed, by a mysterious stable isotope of element 115. He called it Moscovium.
Element 115. Okay, but what does actual science say about that? Did it even exist when he made those claims?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. Element 115, Moscovium, was eventually synthesized, but not until 2003, years after Lazar's claims. And the versions scientists have created are incredibly unstable. They have half-lives measured in milliseconds.
They're not exactly a fuel source.
Not based on anything we currently understand, no.
Yeah.
So using it for propulsion, like Lazar described, seems, well, highly unlikely based on current physics. And crucially, the sources emphasize there's just no verifiable empirical evidence, no proof of stable element 115, no confirmed alien tech on Earth. Lazar's credentials and background have also faced a lot of scrutiny. But Lazar's story is just one thread. Area 51 has become this magnet for all sorts of theories, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You hear ideas like UAPs being time machines from our own future, or rare natural plasma phenomena, even advanced holograms for psychological operations, or maybe next-gen drones with radical propulsion. Some sources even mention speculation about advanced biotech work there, genetic modification, brain interfaces. It's become a real blank canvas for anxieties about secret government power.
Okay. Let's shift gears a bit, from the history and the speculation to the big what if. What if it actually happens? An alien spacecraft lands. Not in a movie, but for real. How do the sources suggest we'd react? What are the immediate questions?
Right, the first contact scenario. The sources are clear. This wouldn't be a national issue. It would be global, all of humanity involved. And really, the only body currently set up to even attempt a response for everyone is the United Nations. They'd have to coordinate.
And the questions we'd ask,
Yeah,
they seem incredibly basic, almost profound.
they are. The sources list things like, why are you here? Simple, but huge. What do you want? How does your mind work? Do you imagine things like we do? What makes you happy? Do you understand right and wrong, good and evil?
Wow. deep stuff.
Absolutely. Are you here to learn about us? How long are you staying? Are there more of you? And the biggest one, maybe, are you peaceful or something else?
Just the fact of their arrival would force a massive rethink, wouldn't it?
Oh, completely. It shatters that assumption that we're the only intelligence around, or at least the most important, center of the universe and all that. Immediately, you'd have world leaders alerted, defense advisors, communication experts, the military, the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs. Everyone's scrambling. A huge concern highlighted in the sources is the public reaction. Fear of the unknown is powerful. Potential for panic, maybe even aggressive responses. Leaders would likely be very cautious about releasing information, not knowing how people would take it.
And our own history plays into those fears, doesn't it? The sources mention that.
Very much so. There's a deep-seated fear that aliens might treat us the way, frankly, human civilizations have often treated each other, especially when a technologically superior culture meets a less advanced one. History on Earth isn't great there. The less advanced often suffered colonization, exploitation, destruction.
Yeah.
So there's this underlying fear, maybe even a hope, that aliens would have, a higher moral code than we've often shown.
Do we have any kind of rule book for this? Any ethical guidelines or legal frameworks ready to go?
That's a major gap. How do you behave when you meet something entirely different? Different biology, different consciousness, maybe? There are no established protocols, no designated spokesperson for Earth, nothing official. Some experts have proposed ideas like a meta law.
Meta law.
Yeah, like a set of really fundamental principles like do no harm, or every species has a right to its own home, its own space. Basic stuff, but nothing agreed upon globally.
What about the practical dangers, like biological contamination?
That's a really critical point raised in the sources. One expert pointed out, think about it, over half the cells in our bodies aren't even technically us. They're microbes, our microbiome.
Right.
So the worry is, what if alien life has a totally different biochemistry? If their microbes get loose here, or ours contaminate their ship? You could have life forms competing, ecosystems collapsing. It could be catastrophic. So the recommended approach, the precautionary principle, keep separate, quarantine, until you understand the risks.
It's interesting, too, how we've already tried to introduce ourselves. The Voyager Golden Record.
Yes. Back in 1977, sent out on the Voyager probes. It was meant to be this comprehensive picture of humanity. Music, images from all over the world, greetings in 55 languages. The message was basically, hi, we exist, we're a civilization, we come in peace. But there was debate, apparently. Should they include the bad stuff? War, poverty, our destructive side?
No, they didn't, right?
No, those images were left out, which some people criticized, saying it wasn't a totally honest portrait. A bit sanitized.
Whether any of this is real or not, UAPs and aliens have undeniably shaped our culture.
Yeah.
How do the sources talk about that impact?
Oh, it's huge. UFOs are everywhere in pop culture. Movies like Independence Day using Area 51 as a backdrop, TV shows like The X-Files, countless books, games, and this culture reflects our own anxieties back at us, doesn't it? Fears about nuclear war, about invasion, enslavement, but also our hopes for, peaceful contact, maybe benevolent aliens. And those screen images, even the totally fictional ones, they stick in our minds. They can actually influence how we interpret real events or what we think we see.
So even things that are clearly made up, like that Project Abigail story about experiments at Area 51.
Yeah.
It's a creepypasta,
Yeah.
Right. Even that stuff adds to the overall picture.
Exactly. These narratives, whether they're old folklore or modern internet fabrications, they all feed into this collective pool of ideas and perceptions about secrecy, aliens, the unknown, and the internet, social media. It just throws gasoline on that fire, spreads theories instantly, often way faster than any fact-checking can keep up.
So when you strip away the hoaxes, the misidentified planes, the weather balloons, what's left? What does this whole deep dive really tell us about, us?
I think it highlights something really fundamental about being human. We have this deep fear of the unknown, but also this powerful urge to understand it, to categorize it, maybe even to conquer it, bring it back to what we do know. You look at our own history moving across continents. It often didn't end well for the people already there. So maybe our biggest fear is that someone else, someone more advanced, might do to us what we've done to each other. It also just reveals this constant human quest for meaning. Where do we fit in? Are we unique? Are we alone? Or, just like the sources say, a coincidence of the right chemicals at the right time. It forces those big existential questions.
It really does. This whole exploration of UAPs, Area 51, first contact, it shows how our scientific drive is just completely wrapped up with our deepest fears and well, our imagination.
Yeah, you see the tension. Official investigations trying to be rigorous, scientific, but public fascination, fueled by stories and secrecy, keeps pushing the boundaries of what seems possible. And that push and pull between transparency and national security, that's still shaping how we talk about all this today.
And maybe the most fascinating thing is how much these stories, true or not, just act like a mirror,
Yeah.
reflecting us, our history, our hopes, how we even define ourselves.
Absolutely. When we think about meeting another intelligence, we're really forced to look at ourselves. Trying to understand the unknown often ends up teaching us more about us than anything else.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on based on all this. If we are approaching what some sources call a revolutionary moment, maybe truly understanding how others, potentially vastly different beings, experience reality, what would that actually mean for us? How would we need to change inside ourselves to really grasp an experience of the world so far beyond our current comprehension? What would it take to embrace that future? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep looking up and keep asking questions.